Hey, welcome to Sports Unfolded NHL Ranking Show. I am your host, Eric. My main man right over there, Ron. How are you today?
Doing okay. A little tired from that skating session, that took like
Uh,
50 takes.
yeah, I fell a lot. I'm not really good on the ice, but but each and every week we break down our NHL rankings. They come out on Tuesday, so we're trying to get a little ahead of it now and make sure that we do it at least the next day so that it doesn't look as funky 3, 4 days later. So we're going to bring up that list first and kind of discuss where we're at when it comes to how we got to these
What
rankings.
fans am I picking on this week, Eric?
I don't know, my friend. I don't know. So at number 10, you have the Colorado Avalanche. At 9, the Winnipeg Jets. At 8, the Tampa Bay Lightning. At 7, the Seattle Kraken. At 6, the New York Rangers. At 5, the Toronto Maple Leafs. At 4, the Dallas Stars. At 3, the New Jersey Devils. The Boston Bruins remain at 2, and the Carolina Hurricanes are still 2 weeks in a row in the number one spot, and we will discuss. So, Ron, each and every week, to your point, there's a little bit of controversy. Didn't seem as bad this week. It seemed like most people kind of, again, I think with the All
I'm
Star
guessing
break,
Toronto
maybe they dropped a few spots, as well
and
as
Tampa
Tampa
Bay.
Bay.
Yeah.
But with the All Star break, you don't see a lot of teams playing the last week, so it was kind of stayed the same. It sandwiched 1, 2 stayed the same, 9, 10 stay the same, and a little bit of movement in between. So we'll discuss, and then obviously your expectations going forward with the season, since we're now on the back end of the season here in the NHL and getting
Yes.
ready for the playoffs. So that first team at number 10 is the Colorado Avalanche. Michael's joining us.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Michael.
Michael. Appreciate you joining us today. Colorado Avalanche at 27, 18, and 4, 13, 9, and 3 at home, 14, 9, and 1 on the road, 152 goals for, 135 goals against, a plus 17, 7, 2, and 1 in their last 10. They're on a 1 game losing streak. They lost to Anaheim, then beat St. Louis, and then lost to Pittsburgh the last 3 games. This week, extremely tough for Colorado when you talk about the opponents at Tampa Bay, then at Florida, and then back home for Tampa Bay. So again, we could see them fall off this list depending on how well they play. Great play from Mikko Rantanen,
Yep.
61 points, 34 goals. Nathan McKinnon, 41 assists and a plus 15. Both lead the team. Kyle McCarr is 45 points, so he's chipping in. And then they're getting great goaltending from Georgiev, 20, 11, and 3. I always
Georgiev.
Georgievi. I don't. I like it. I don't know. 2011 and 3, 2.60 goals against and a 920 save percentage. What else can you tell us about the Colorado Avalanche and how they're going to survive at number 10?
Yeah, I expect them to keep moving up the board. This is a top five team for sure. They got to shore up some sloppy play at times. But this team, make no mistake, this is a powerhouse team, and look for them at the deadline to make a big splash. Um, I think they know they miss Kadri, and I think they're going to go out and get a big name to solve that problem, and they'll probably shore up that third and fourth line as well. But like like I said, this is a top 10. This is a top five team for sure, and they just got a late start. Like we keep hopping on, and we're just waiting for them to wake up and go on this run that is just gonna cement their feet into the NHL again this year.
Yeah. Again, lost to McKinnon for a few weeks. That kind of hurt.
Yeah.
Maybe the Stanley Cup hangover a little bit at the beginning of the
Yeah, you had a
season
lot
too.
of a lot of different things, and it took Georgiev a while to start playing the way that they expected him to play. I wouldn't be surprised if Colorado even goes out and gets another goaltender whether it's for depth or, if they don't feel like Georgiev has it. I know Corpusalo is a free agent at the end of this season in Columbus. So whether they'd want to move him or Elvis has got a long term contract. They probably would rather trade Elvis, but I don't see Colorado doing that. They might just go and get, a backup goaltender for the depth reasons. Um, but I would expect somebody like a Kane or a Line or, a Tarasenko to wind up in Colorado. And that would be huge for them. It would probably cement their trip back to the Stanley Cup.
Yeah. So again, the West a little bit less depth when it comes to teams in who can,
That's what it really comes down to. Like, there's a depth problem in the Western Conference. We know that. But is there anybody dangerous in that Western Conference? Not really.
because even the top team that you have at number 4 in the Dallas Stars, I would say, have been very inconsistent.
Yeah.
So the Colorado Avalanche know how to win. They've been there. They've done it.
Yeah.
So opportunities are there. To your point, I mean, they just got on the list the last couple of weeks here, and
Yep.
you could see them again. Just steadily moving up, 7-2-1 in their last 10. So they continue to
Yeah.
do that at that pace. They're going to move up pretty quickly.
Yep.
At number 9, another Western Conference team, the Winnipeg Jets, 32-19-1 on the season, 18-8 at home, 14-11-1 on the road, 166 goals for, 137 goals against, a plus 29, 5-5 in their last 10. They are on a 1-game winning streak. Last 3, they lost to Buffalo and Philadelphia and then beat St. Louis. They're playing Chicago, Seattle, and at Columbus in their next 3. They're getting a little bit from everybody. Kyle Connor, 59 points. Mark Scheifele, 31 goals. Scheifele. Josh Morrissey, 43 assists. Connor Hellebuck, 24, 15, 1, 2.45 goals against with a 923 save percentage. They are tied for 3rd in save percentage in the NHL at 920 and tied for 3rd in penalty kills at 83.3%. So defensively, very strong.
Yeah.
What do they do? Do they do anything at the deadline to try to get a scorer or another guy that can take some pressure
Yeah,
off
I
of
think
Shifley?
yeah, this team is a little different than Colorado. Like, Colorado's going to look for that big splash. I don't know so much about Winnipeg doing a big splash, but I could see them going out and maybe getting another center. Um,
Maybe
Most likely
maybe
to
maybe Tom Hanks or Daryl Hannah? No? Okay.
a center.
Splash.
Oh, Jesus! Totally missed that one.
Go
No,
ahead.
but they wanna shore up some of those little things that can creep into a game in the playoffs. So like face-offs, very important all season long, but in the playoffs it means even more. So if they go out, they might possibly make a push for Dylan Larkin, who's a very good two-way forward. And he's excellent on the faceoffs. He's got a lot of speed. He's got a lot of playmaking ability. Or they can just go, for a bigger bargain in Barbashev, which I think is more their style because he's a big guy and he can park right in front of that net, and maybe he catches fire in the playoffs and this the end of the season and could really do wonders. And I think he fits the bill for a Winnipeg Jets because it's not going to be the bigger cost like a Kane or a Line or somebody like that, but it's going to be cost efficient. He's got
So
a lot of size, and that's what they like.
they've been pretty steady all season long, the Winnipeg
Yeah.
Jets. Are they a contender in the Western Conference round? Would you put them in that 1-2 spot where they possibly could get to the cup?
I'd probably put them probably in the top 3. all coming from that same division. Um, look, they're not the Colorado Avalanche. They're going to have to make sure defensively they're perfect, especially when you do play a Colorado. Outside of that, they're just as good as anybody else in the net defensively. So they could come out of that Western Conference easily.
It's going to be a fun race. This back end of the season is going to be very interesting.
Yeah.
So here's some fans may be a little upset. They dropped 2 spots at the Tampa Bay Lightning, 32-16-2, 24-2 at home, 12-12 on the road. That one surprised me. A 500 team on the
Yeah.
road. 179 goals for, 152 goals against, a plus 27, 6-3-1 in their last 10. They are on a 2-game losing streak. They beat the Kings and then lost to Florida and lost to San Jose. That's a bad loss to San
That's
Jose.
a really bad loss.
And then next 3, they may
and
be
frankly, the loss to Florida wasn't good. I believe it was 7-1.
Yeah.
So
And
they're not looking good right now.
And the next 3, honestly, Ron, they may be off this list after this week. So they play Columbus, but then at Colorado, and then at Dallas, and then at Colorado. So they've got sandwich games and then Dallas. So that's extremely tough.
What's their record on the road?
12-12. So again, that could be 2 losses right there.
Definitely.
Nikita Kucherov having a phenomenal season, 75 points, 55 assists, leads the team. Braden Point leads the team in goals at 31. And then Steven Stamkos very quietly, 57 points. We really haven't heard his name a lot. I know he scored his 500th goal this season, and they kind of had a little bit of a hoopla, but he's been quiet in the background there.
Yeah, because he's not leading the team in goals.
Yeah, Kucherov and Point are been the 2 guys.
Yeah, Braden Point has been the guy this year. Stamkos is up there. He's getting long in the tooth. He's played a lot of hockey. His legs aren't coming back very well after those 3 trips to the Cup. And I think out of all the players, I think he's been hit the hardest. You see Hedman starting to come around on defense. He's starting to get better. And Stamkos I think he's hit his ceiling for the season. I mean, what you see from Stamkos is probably it. And I don't want to be, the bearer of bad news for Tampa Bay fans. But I think this is the decline. And believe me, his decline is still far better than a lot of players.
Yeah. Look,
he's not, a chump in that lineup. But, I just think this is what you're going to get from Stamkos. He's not going to be that loud goal-scoring machine. That's it.
And then what about Vasilevsky, who's 23-13-1, 2.63 goals against a 916 save percentage? Not as dominant as you've seen him in the past. I mean, he's coming around.
And I'll tell you, I watched him in the playoff, the All-Star game. Not very sharp. Allmark looked fantastic out there, especially in that final game. Allmark didn't give up any goals, but Vasilevsky was giving it up high in the net. So the way I look at it, if the shooters are going to shoot high on Vasilevsky, they can light him up. And if you see the Florida game, that just backs it up. And I think they took a look at that All-Star game, and that's what people are going to do now. And I think Vasilevsky might have to do some changes because he's going down too soon.
Yeah. How important is Hedman? So if you look at goals for, they're 3.56 goals. They're 4th in the NHL, and they're 3rd in power play at 26%. But nothing defensively from this team. And Vasilevsky, again. So if Hedman steps up, or is this a team maybe looking for a defenseman in the trade?
I think so. And I'm looking squarely at Klingberg and Shattenkirk and Gostisbehere. I think they go after one of those 3 players, and probably a 4th liner or a 3rd liner like a Corey Perry, who you can get pretty cheap. But definitely they're going to make a push for a defenseman. And I would think it's either Klingberg or Shattenkirk, both from the same team. So I'm sure one of them are going to be going somewhere, and it could be both of them, but they're going to probably score on one of those.
So at 7, Ron, the Seattle Kraken, they move up a spot, 29-16-5, 13-10-3 at home, 16-6-2 on the road. Very good road team. 177 goals for, 155 goals against, a plus 22 on the season, 5-4-1 in their last 10. They are on a 1-game losing streak. They lost to Calgary, beat Columbus, and then lost to the Islanders in their last 3. And then another tough road test here for them at New Jersey, then at the Rangers, and then at Philadelphia. So they're getting a lot of production from everybody as well. Borakowski, 39 points. McCann, 23 goals. Eberle, 28 assists. Adam Larson leads the team in plus minus at plus 30. And then we talked about Matty Beniers and what he's been able to do.
Yeah.
35 points as a rookie. Martin Jones, though, has been that quiet hero for them too. If you think about it in the pipes, not a name you normally discuss, but 23-8-3 on the season, a 2.86 goals against, 8.95 save percentage, and they're third in goal. They're fifth in goals for as a team at 3.34 goals per game. So they're scoring a lot of points. Can they sustain this, Ron? We keep talking about it, and is this the point in the season where we start to see them come back down to earth?
Yeah, I think it's going to be this road trip is going to be a killer for them. Look, I probably would expect them to beat Philadelphia, but they're going to go into New Jersey and they're going to go into the Rangers, both solid defensively and goaltending. And I think they're going to have some difficulties. Um, Look, I mean, they're playing the teams in that Pacific Division, and it's suspect at best. You know,
Yeah.
now you're going to the belly of the beast out there in New York and New Jersey area, and you're gonna find out what this team is made of this weekend. You know,
So
that's for sure.
great story with Seattle, but do they make a move? Is this a team that makes a move, or do they kind of stay packed where they're at?
They probably will do something, but it is not going to be big names. They are not going to mortgage their future for a playoff run that you know probably if they make the playoffs for one. I know you expect them to make the playoffs at this point, but I wouldn't be surprised if they go out in the first round. But if they're gonna do anything, they're gonna go out and maybe get like a Max Domi, somebody that is so cost efficient and not gonna give up future chips. So they'll go out and get somebody maybe like a Corey Perry. That game's going to be tossed around in almost everybody's want list because he's it seems like wherever he goes, he kind of finds playoff runs. So he's
So
got that experience.
we've talked about how weak the West is, but could you not see them because of that fact that they may have a shot in the West?
Well, yeah, that's why. But if they do anything, it's going to be, guys that are role players. I don't see them going out and going after like a Patrick Kane or anybody like
Yeah.
that. That's not going to happen. But they will try to go out and get somebody that maybe could bring something to the table. Like a Barbachev, who, when you talk in St. Louis, everybody's looking at Ryan O'Reilly. That's going to be a high cost. You're talking $6+ million that it's going to cost your team if you want to re-sign him. Barbashev, though, is going to be a lot less of a cost. It's going to be like 2-3 million, if that. So those are the kind of players that they're going to try to go after. They're not going to go after a Jonathan Toews, but they want to go after some guys that are going to bring in some veteran leadership to this young team. So, that's why I say a Max Domi, a Corey Perry, those are dynamite players. But you're looking at only a couple of million rather than $6-7 million players, and they're not going to go that route to
Yeah.
give up, draft picks.
So let me ask you this last question before we move on to the next team. Is this going to be a top 10 team the rest of the season?
No, I don't think so.
You think they're going to fall off the list?
Yeah, I think they will.
All right. At number 6, the New York Rangers. They moved up a spot as well. 28-14-8 on the season. 14-9-4 at home, 14-5-4 on the road, 162 goals for, 133 goals against, a plus 29 on the season, 6-2-2 in their last 10. They are on a 2-game winning streak. They lost to Toronto, then beat the Vegas Golden Knights and the Calgary Flames. Next 3, Vancouver, Seattle, and then at Carolina. That's going to be a big matchup. Zibanejad, 52 points, 24 goals. Panarin, 40 assists, and Adam Fox leading the team at plus 25. Igor Shesterkin is starting to become the goaltender we know he is. So 28-8-7, but a 2.46 goals against, 918 save percentage. We're starting to see his numbers come way down. And then they are 4th overall in the NHL in goals against at 2.62. So we know what they are defensively. We see the production offensively. This team should be higher on this list, Ron, in my eyes, with the talent they have and what they did last season. What do they do to become one of the top 5 teams in the NHL?
Well, they just got to play their game, right? They got to be playing it consistently every day. They can't just like take shifts off, and you got some guys that take some shifts off here and there. And even like, Panarin, there's no excuse to being a negative, on your team. You should not. You have to skate. That's all you have to do. Just skate. You got to keep moving. You got to keep playing the way your team is designed to play. This is a team that didn't go very big last year in the trade deadline. I expect them to go big, go hard, and try to get one of those top players out there. And and everybody's going to be going after Kane, Tarasenko, and Timo Meyer. Those are the guys that people are talking about. And don't even be surprised if you see Patrick Laine move from Columbus. I know it is in the same division, but I don't know if they're so much rivals. It's not like they're going to trade with the Islanders or something. But I would say one of those 4 players are going to end up in New York.
Look, they need to make a move. They're right now, when you look at the Eastern Conference, the fact that they are the 4th best team on this list on Sports Unfolded NHL Rankings would be surprising to me. Again, New Jersey has definitely been a team that is surprised, but the Boston Bruins have been dominant all season, and then Carolina Hurricanes are starting to become that team that. So the Rangers, if they're gonna do anything, to your point, it's now, because if you don't make a move, you're not beating those 2 top echelon teams.
Yeah, because if it stays the way it is, and all 4 of those teams advance in the playoffs, then the second round you're going to play the Carolina Hurricanes. You got to figure that out, and that's why this game against Carolina, this is going to dictate what they need to do to beat Carolina. So, whatever it is, if they win the game, they're going to, go out at the deadline accordingly. If they lose the game, most likely it's going to be goal scoring, and they're going to go big. They're going to go big.
At 5, Toronto Maple Leafs, 31-13-8, 25-4 at home, 11-8-4 on the road, 175 goals for, 141 goals against, a plus 34 on the season, 5-4-1 in their last 10. They are on a 1-game losing streak. Dropped 2 spots on the list this week. Lost to Ottawa, then beat Washington, then lost to Boston. Next 3 at Columbus, then Columbus at home, and Chicago at home. Mitchell Marner has been phenomenal this season for them. 60 points, 41 assists. William Nylander, 28 goals. We're not listening. We're not hearing Austin Matthews' names in that, and he's out with the injury. Yeah. That's probably affecting them a little bit. Samsonov has played well for them in the pipes. 17-6-2, 2.42 goals against, .913 save percentage. Can Toronto do enough in the trade deadline, Ron, to become one of those top teams, or is this
See,
kind of what we expected from them all season?
look, this is the team that everybody always has questions about. Like you can go 1 to 30 to whatever. How I don't even know. Um, if you go probably 16 deep, there's really only one team that has all these question marks, and that is the Toronto Maple Leafs. Because yes, Samsonov is playing very well, and his numbers look good, but is that going to hold up? And that is a serious question because do they even have a guy that's going to stay healthy as a backup? So I think Toronto by default has to go out and get a goaltender. Like they have to. Like this isn't even a question of whether or not they should. They have to. And then to throw it all in, they'll probably go after some big name on offense,
A score,
and
yeah.
that's not the thing that they need to do. And this is what they do all the time. They go after that name because the fans are clamoring
Yeah,
for
they
it.
want the
And
sexy
I
pick.
think, yeah, and I think Toronto falls prey to that. The general managers listen to their fans and they go out and get that name. And that's not what they should have been doing all these years. Look, they need a defenseman. They need a defenseman. And as I look on that list of defensemen that should be available, I mean, out of Arizona, Chikrin, everybody knows that Arizona trades away, you know, chips
Yeah.
to get more chips, only to trade those chips away.
Hey.
But you can go after Klingberg. You can go after Shattenkirk, Gus Despair. This Jack Johnson in Chicago. Justin Braun. There's guys out there that they could use to shore up their defense, and that is what they need. They don't need the goal scorer. They don't need the goal scorer. If you want to get a forward, go out and get a role player. One that's going to basically have a spine in the playoffs. Not saying that those players that they have don't have a spine, but they don't.
I think you did. Okay. So Toronto, if they stay packed, you feel like they kind of just get into the playoffs, lose in the first round.
If they don't make a real push for something they really need, they will get bounced out. If they go after a forward, and get another goal scorer, say like a Patrick Laine or whoever, I don't think they're going to score a Kane. I don't think they're going to score a Tarasenko. But if they did get one of those guys, it's not going to matter. It's really not going to matter because they're just going to have the same deficiencies over and over until they actually address it for the playoffs.
And I would say, if for people that think Ron is crazy, if you look at the top scoring team in the league, it's the Edmonton Oilers.
Yeah.
Right? So they have all the talent in the world to score. They can't stop anybody. They're not winning games.
No.
So Toronto
and
could fall prey
playoffs,
to that.
it's even harder.
Yeah. Again, everything gets tighter in the playoffs. Everything gets tighter in the playoffs. Showing some love to the Dallas fans here. You moved them up a spot, 29, 13, and 10, 14, 5, and 6 at home, 15, 8, and 4 on the road, 176 goals for, 35 goals against, a plus 41, 4-2, and 4 in their last 10. They're on a one-game winning streak. They lost to Carolina, lost to New Jersey, and then beat Anaheim. Next three are Minnesota, Tampa Bay, and Boston, all at home. Jason Robinson and the job he's doing for that team, 76 points.
Good. It's only 23 years old.
Yeah, 67 points, 33 goals, 34 assists, leads the team in all three. Joe Pavlowski, plus 31. So again, don't make fun of my pronunciation there.
Pavelski.
Jake Ottinger, 22-7-7, a 2.25 goals against, a 924 save percentage. One of the top goaltenders in the league right now. They are second overall in goals against at a 2.56. 920 save percentage is third in the NHL. They're tied for second in shutouts with 5, and second in penalty kills at 83.8% with the penalty kill. This team, obviously, phenomenal defensively. And this was what they did last season in the playoffs, and we continue to talk about it. What have they got to do from a scoring standpoint in by the trade deadline, Ron, to be a contender for the Stanley Cup?
Well, they need to go out and get somebody for a second line. Because when you have one line that's doing it, namely Robertson, those good teams are going to be able to shut them down. They're going to be able to stop them. They're going to put their best players defensively on that line. So in the playoffs, it's always somebody else has to step up. And if they don't have anybody else to step up, they're going to lose a lot of games 1-0.
Yeah,
or 2-1.
Which happened last season. Yeah,
which happened last season, and you could see a duplication of that if they don't go out and get a goal scorer. Do I think they're going to do that? No. I think they're very similar to the Winnipeg Jets. They're going to do a cost cutting move. Say, go out and get a Corey Perry, or maybe they might go out and get O'Reilly. I don't think O'Reilly really helps this team, and that would surprise me considering he'd be like $6 million plus. But yeah, I don't see it. I don't see it.
Yeah. So defensively, if I'm playing, the Dallas Stars, I'm controlling Robertson and what he's able to do.
Yeah.
And if nobody else can put the puck in the net, I mean, what are you really going to be able to do? And this is where
if they can go out and get Barbashev, who is not, like I mentioned before, for Winnipeg, who really fits that Winnipeg team. If they can go out and get a guy like that, that's a good move for them. But there's going to be a lot of teams that are going to go out and try to get Barbashev, so only one team is going to get him. So that's going to leave a lot of these teams that aren't really going to spend the money. They're going to be left out to dry. They're going to go out and get those third and fourth liners instead and hope that's enough, and that's not going to be enough for this team.
Yeah.
They need a goal scorer.
If there's a year they could do it, right? Colorado, again, has been inconsistent. We talked about they are a top 5 team, we believe, at some point. But if they continue to play at the pace they're playing, the West is so wide open.
Right.
And Dallas has been the probably best or most consistent team in the West.
No.
Why wouldn't you make a move to say, look, this is our season? This is
Dallas
the year we can make
Winnipeg, if Dallas or Winnipeg goes out and gets one of those top guys, like a Timu Meyer, or a Patrick Kane or a Tarasenko, I would say that they're the favorite.
So, to me, I just don't understand what teams think sometimes.
Yeah, you got to go for it.
At 3, New Jersey Devils, 33-13-4, 14-10-2 at home, 19-3-2 on the road, 176 goals for, 135 goals against, a +41, 8-1-1 in their last 10. They're on a 2-game winning streak. They moved up a spot on this list, lost to Nashville, and then beat Dallas and beat Vancouver. Next 3, they've got Seattle, at Minnesota, and at Columbus. 3 very winnable games, especially on the road, since they play so well on the road. Jack Hughes, phenomenal player. What he's been able to do for them as well, 67 points, 35 goals, leads the team. Dougie Hamilton, 36 assists. Vanacek, you talked about the goaltending for New Jersey, 22-5-2, a 2.34 goals against, and a 9.16 save percentage. The whole time they've been on this list, Ron, we keep talking about they're going to fall off. They're going to fall off. They're a contender at this point.
Yeah.
Do they make moves, or do
they will.
They will make a move?
They will. And they're in a little bit of a different boat than, say, you know, Dallas, Winnipeg, because they have goal scoring. This is a team that what they could use are leaders, guys that have been there, done that. So they're going to go after. I think this is where Taves ends up if he is moved from Chicago. This would be such a great fit for him. He wouldn't have to worry about being the man, but what he brings to the table, I mean, at one point he was considered one of the best two-way centers in hockey. Him and Bergeron have always been right there, neck and neck. Bergeron has extended that.
Yeah.
So Taves has dropped off a bit, but that is a guy that I think New Jersey could really benefit from because he's won Stanley Cups. He knows how to play the game. You know, I mean, he does everything the right way. And I don't know, that to me would be the best move that they make. Another guy, O'Reilly from St. Louis, would also fit that bill. Not as good as Taves, but again, he has won it. So if you don't go that route and you want to go somebody younger that you want to try to re-sign, then you go Dylan Larkin. Those are the kind of players that I think um, New Jersey wants badly to bring the leadership to those kids.
Listen, it's an amazing story just to think about how they've been able to continue to carry this. And the fact that they win on the road,
Yeah.
to me, that's championship quality. You get a guy in there that says, look, we just got to figure out how to win in front of our home crowd.
Because on the road, they're playing with no pressure.
Yeah. It's kind of crazy. Sometimes you think it's usually the opposite with younger teams.
Yeah.
And somehow they're able to shut out the noise and just be able to play solid hockey.
Yeah.
But it's going to be fun. The problem is, again, very tough Eastern Conference. They're going to be playing. They're going to be playing. Yeah, they're going to be playing some top teams right off the bat in the first round of the playoffs.
Yeah, because you're looking at Carolina, Boston, Toronto, Tampa Bay, the Rangers, Washington, Pittsburgh. You know, like these are good hockey teams. Islanders. I mean, when you look at just the Atlantic Division, only one team has a losing record. One, and it's Montreal.
Yeah.
Everybody else has a winning record.
Yeah, it's unreal. The East is unreal.
It's not unreal. Easy coming out.
Island is making that trade. That seems that may benefit.
They've already got their first win under the belt with him. Yeah. With Horvat.
Horvat, yeah.
So it's going to be interesting.
Yeah. So at 2, the Boston Bruins, still remarkable, the record they've had so far this season, 39-7-5, 22-1-3 at home, 17-6-2 on the road, and 192 goals for, 111 goals against, a plus 81, 7-2-1 in their last 10. They're on a 1-game winning streak. They lost to Florida, lost to Carolina, and then beat Toronto. Next 3, they've got Washington, at Dallas, and then at Nashville. David Pastrnak leads the team in basically every scoring category possible. 72 points, 38 goals, 34 assists. Hampus Lindholm, that move they made last season to get him defensively, a plus 33. So you saw that. What a great move by them. And then Olmark has been the quiet guy that nobody expect. This is, talk about coming out of left field. Linus Olmark, 26-4-1 on the season, a 190 goals against, a 937 save percentage. Absolutely ridiculous numbers. They are second in goals for in this season at 3.73. They are fifth in power play percentage at 25.1. Number one again goals against at 2.12. Number one in save percentage at 930. Fifth overall in shutouts with 3, and then number one in penalty kills at 85.8%. There doesn't seem to be a single weakness with the Boston Bruins, Ron. Why are they not number 1 and 2? What are they doing at the trade deadline, or do they stay packed because they've been playing so well?
Okay, the reason why they're number 2 because they went on to a losing streak at the wrong time when Carolina was on a big winning streak and Carolina beat them. Okay, record-wise, Bruins have 7 regulation losses, 12 overall. Carolina, 9 regulation losses, 17 overall. So, in essence, Boston is really the top team, but at this moment, Carolina is playing much better.
Yeah.
Than really anybody at any time. Look, I mean, it's going to come down to these two teams, I believe, to be the number 1 seed.
Represent the Eastern
Yeah,
Conference.
yeah. I think. Yeah. To be honest with you, I think one of these two teams is going to win the Eastern Conference. I just think they're playing too well. They're too used to playing this well. They have great fundamentals. They're not going to be in a position where they're going to go on this massive losing streak because it's just not going to happen. I mean, you saw a 3-game losing streak for the Bruins, and that might be the longest one they have all year.
Yeah.
I would not expect them to lose 3 in a row again.
So, can I ask you this question? The New England Patriots, back when they were 15-0, there was a lot of debate. Should they play their starters to go 16-0? In you're seeing the Boston Bruins play so well right now.
Yeah.
Do they take the back half though and say, "Look, it's not important. We're more about right now you're the 1 seed." Do they chase the record? Are they chasing a record? So you think they chase the record? They just keep going.
Well, I think they're playing their game. They're not chasing the record, but if that happens, it happens.
Okay.
But they're not going to shut it off and take some time. They're not going to sit Bergeron out a game because, first of all, that's not what Bergeron does. But what does happen is when you have a big lead, you're not going to have your guys expend more energy when they don't need to. So the ice time gets cut. They'll still go out there and get a shift here and there in the third period if they're up by 4, just to keep them moving. But they're not going to get, days off.
Okay.
It's a little different. They do that in baseball. Yeah, they do it in basketball.
Not
once
so much
in a while in
NHL.
Football. They never do that in the NHL. Yeah. They never do. When you get time off, it's usually because your team is playing horrible and they want to see what the young kids want to do.
Yeah.
And you're not in a playoff picture. Gotcha. Other than that, you're out there. You're in the lineup.
No, makes sense. Makes sense. Do they make a move?
Yes, I do think they make a move, but I'm starting to lean off of a bigger name. And the reason why is because they got to wait for David Pastrnak to sign that contract. From what I understand, they're really close and it could happen soon. Okay. Now, when it does happen, this has to get done so the Bruins know what they can do next season. And that is going to depend on what they go for. So you probably see the Bruins make moves later and closer towards the deadline than most other teams, because they're all going after the same guys. I don't know if the Bruins are going to have the cap space to go after a Kane. I just don't see that happening. What I'd like them to go after a center because of the fact that you have Bergeron and Krejci in the middle. And let's face it, they're not getting younger. And I would expect Krejci to retire after the season. Just saying. Yeah. I think he's done after this season. I think he came back for one more ride. And I think Bergeron will stick around for at least another year. And that's why I like Barbashev to Boston.
Look at you making bold predictions here.
He is center, okay? They're going to need a center. He's big, so you're thinking of Charlie Coyle at this point. So you want that big body, and if he can display the skill level close to maybe a Krejci, that would, I mean, look, I'm not saying he's going to be Krejci, but if you can get that skill set,
Yeah, somebody that
and then
can
you
you could.
pair him with a Pasternak
Yeah,
next
exactly.
season,
And sometimes, depending on the players that are around you, it
right?
elevates your play. So
And that's, I think that's what they're going to do. They're going to go after him, play him on a wing. He's not going to see the center. It's not going to happen this year. But you play him on a wing, and you put him with, you know, one of those three centers that you have, or you put him at center and you move Charlie Coyle over, and you have Coyle with Frederick and Barbashev. I like the Barbashev thing. I don't think they go defense, but I would see that. Possibly could see O'Reilly. I don't think they'll go that route because I think O'Reilly would be too expensive later on, and they would possibly lose him.
yeah,
And if you're going to trade one of your chips down in Providence for a guy, you want a guy that's going to stick around, and they could probably sign Barbashev. And I think that's where he ends up. I think he ends up in Boston.
like the move. We'll have to keep an eye on that one, my friend. We'll have to keep an eye on that one. So let's talk about that number one team. That's the Carolina Hurricanes, 34-9-8, 17-5-2 at home, 17-4-6 on the road, 173 goals for, 136 goals against, a plus 37 overall on the season. 9-0-1 in their last 10. They're on a 7-game win streak. Last three, they beat in Boston, the Kings, and the Sabres. Next three, they've got the Rangers at home, and then at Washington, and then Montreal. Martinikas has done a great job, 47 points. Sebastian Aho leads the team in goals. Brent Burns, 27 assists. They're getting goaltending from all three of their goaltenders. All three of these guys are playing really well. 2.61 goals against is third overall as a team in the NHL. 5 shutouts is tied for second. What is this team gonna do? Like, they just seem like they're already there. You keep talking about Patrick Kane, and I read an interesting story that Kane may not waive his trade
Yeah, he
clause.
might not.
So if that's the case, what's their next best option for Carolina? Because you were locked on Kane going to Carolina pretty
Yeah.
much for the last few weeks here.
Yeah, and look, I still think that's where he would go if he wants to move.
Yeah. Doesn't it make sense? Why would you want? I don't get it.
He wouldn't. He will not move unless it's for a team that he thinks can win the Stanley Cup. Okay, so he's not going to go. If they say, "Oh, well, Buffalo called," and no, he's not going to Buffalo.
So you think he puts that bug out there to say, "Look, don't waste my time. It's got to be one of these
Right.
top echelon teams."
It's got to be Carolina, Boston, Colorado, or the Rangers. I don't see any other team like he won't. I don't see him going to Dallas. I don't see him going to Winnipeg for obvious reasons. I don't think they're going to spend that money.
Yeah.
I don't see him wanting to go to Toronto too. I think he's going to stay. In that, I think he wants to go to the Eastern Conference, one of those 4 teams, because one of those 4 teams can win it.
Makes sense. Makes sense. So Carolina doesn't get Kane. What's the next possible move for them?
Well,
How do
it's
they remain number
interesting,
one?
and it's probably going overlooked by everybody. They have 3 goaltenders.
Yes. You could trade one of them.
So if you trade a goaltender, whoever it may be, it doesn't even matter at this point. So whoever's making the most, that's probably what they do. They trade whoever's making the most, and they trade a goaltender for one of those chips, whether it's Kane or or Meyer or maybe Zegras. I mean, somebody can get pulled away that might not be an unrestricted free agent. So when you look at those teams, say like a San Jose, Timu Maya, okay, so they have Reamer as a goaltender, not good enough. So if you're going to trade Meyer away and you get a goaltender that can do it in the pipes, that's where you start.
Yeah.
You start there and say, okay, give me, such and such goaltender and your first round pick, and you got a deal. That improves that team tremendously right away. Yes, they lose Timu Meyer,
But now
but
you get a solid
you have a
goaltender,
goaltender that you can build behind.
and you get a, let's just say, a first round pick that may turn into a great prospect down
Right,
the road.
right. So I think a team like that, that's trading away somebody, look, those teams don't have goaltenders, or they'd be in the thick of things, especially the
Yeah.
Western teams. If you had a goaltender, it would be different. They don't. So you start with Carolina has all the power. They have all the power because they're sitting there with three goaltenders. They literally don't need three. They could trade one away, get the piece that they want, and then you have your other chips that you have to get another piece. This is a team that I think gets two pieces. They're going for it this year, and I don't see another team being able to stop them.
Okay. No, I think I agree with you. I mean, they hold in the most important piece. It's like an NFL team having three quarterbacks that are all, Pro Bowlers that dominate. Like
Right,
every team would be going after them and just saying,
right.
okay, we'll give you whatever. So now it makes sense. Great point. Let's bring up that list again so we can show the fans where we're at. And then we have a do you know, Ron? The little challenge from the Rhode Island broadcasters last week. I had to make sure I brought it back for the NHL ranking show. But at 10, Colorado Avalanche, Winnipeg Jets at 9, 8, Tampa Bay Lightning at 7, Seattle Kraken at 6, the New York Rangers. Top 5 here, Toronto Maple Leafs at 5, Dallas Stars at 4, New Jersey Devils at 3, Boston Bruins at 2, and the Carolina Hurricanes at number 1 once again this week. Ron, every week, what team will or will not be on this list next week?
Well, I like Minnesota and I like Washington, and believe it or not, I still like Calgary. And then there's the Islanders. The Islanders are interesting. I would be concerned if I'm Tampa Bay. They got a tough schedule coming ahead. I'd be a little concerned if I was them, and Seattle, frankly. Those are the two teams that I'd worry about. I think Colorado, Winnipeg at the bottom of that. I think they will stay in. They're good. But yeah, and Washington to me is very interesting because they've had a lot of injuries in the center ice position, and plus Tom Wilson spent a lot of time out. That quality guy that he is, but he's a good hockey player, and you can't be without your top players. Backstrom is the big concern for Washington. So I would not be surprised if Washington goes out and gets a high talented center. So be
All
looking
right.
for that. Washington could be a player before this is over.
All right. Excellent. Excellent, my friend. So that was our NHL rankings. So excited every week now to continue to bring Do You Know? Do you know? We've changed it a little bit. So instead of just being a do you remember, do you know, Ron? So there's 3 questions I will ask you. I am trying to stump you. They're all obviously NHL related.
Yeah.
And yesterday we did our NBA. Do you know? Kenny
We're 0 for 3.
did not fare so well. So this is a challenge now. You said you would definitely go and beat Kenny this week. So the first question, my friend, do you know which player had the most saves in an NHL game? Do you know? And if you know the team, who he played against, I mean, if you can, anything you could give me.
All right. I'm going this route because I watched a game and I couldn't believe he stood on his head for 3+ periods. 3+ periods. I'm going to say Ron Tugnut,
Okay.
the Quebec Nordiques against the Boston Bruins, and I believe it was 63 saves.
All right. Let's see if you are correct. Let's see if you are correct, my friend. All right. It is Ron Tugnut. It was against the Boston Bruins, Quebec Nordiques. You are correct. But it was 70 saves.
70 saves.
70
It was
saves.
73 shots on net, 3
Yes.
goals.
Yes.
Yeah.
3-3
I knew
games.
it was something like that.
How insane is that? 70 saves. So
Yeah,
1
I
and
watched that
1 and
game. He
0
was
already.
amazing.
You already beat Kenny. We could just stop the
Yeah.
segment.
Yeah.
But
That
great
was I
job.
remember that game. Oh my god. I could not I actually it was a great game, mind you. The Bruins just completely dominated. But that man, oh my god, I've never seen a goaltending performance like that ever.
Yeah, that's
Ever.
insane. That's insane to think about. 70 saves, most in NHL history in a game. All right, second question. Boston Bruins, obviously, what they're doing, the amazing record that they have, could be the all time wins, all time points in NHL history. Which team for the Boston Bruins had the most points in a season and how many points?
I want to say it was 1929.
Okay. 1929? Is that your guess?
Oh, see, it's tough because I don't think they played nearly as many games. But I know they won the President's Trophy not too long ago with Cam and the boys. It could be that year. Oh, God. I'm going to say it was 1988.
1988? All
And
right.
I want to say it was like 112 points or something.
All right.
I could
Let's
be
see.
wrong.
Let's see. You are incorrect, my friend. It is the 1970-71 Boston Bruins who had
The
100
other
and,
Stanley Cups and Cup
yes,
teams.
121 points. The most in Bruins history. That
Mm,
record may be shattered this season, but
yeah, or in
what they won
doing
back
all
to
of them.
back, right? Back to back that
Yeah,
year, those guys.
yeah, they
So
were Bobby
so
Orr. Oh my God, what a
yeah,
player!
yeah.
Like
So
when you look at that roster, it was stacked, and they were
I just
tough.
look at the old goaltenders, like what they that right nowadays with all the graphics they put on it and make them
Oh, I
look so
know.
cool, right? Like so it's so
Yeah.
just
Well,
different.
Cheevers had just the stitches all
Yeah,
over his mask.
yeah.
You know,
It was
it
awesome.
supposedly meant every time he got hit in the face.
Oh, really? Oh well.
Yeah, I guess he'd
So
put a new thing on it or
so
something.
1970-71 Boston Bruins 121 points. Last question, my friend. Which player? So you think about all the Boston greats, some of the greats recently. Cam Neely, great player for the Boston Bruins right now in the front office, all he's doing. Which player was traded by the Boston Bruins to acquire Cam Neely?
Oh my god! Oh my god! That was to Vancouver.
It was to the
Um.
Canucks. Very good.
Oh man! Like the thing that comes into my head is Barry Peterson.
Barry Pitt, is that your guess?
That is my guess.
Let's see if you are correct. It is Barry Peterson, my friend. Very good job.
And he was a good
Went
player too.
he went to the Canucks for Cam Neely.
Yeah.
Uh,
How about that scout, huh? Say giving up a guy that's like,
yeah, they said he had
a
40,
legitimate
40
player.
goals in one season, 100, I think 100 points they said he
Yeah,
had
he had
in a
100
season.
points, and you
And,
trade him away.
and trade him away for Cam Neely,
Yep.
who at the time wasn't Cam Neely. He wasn't the Boston's Cam Neely.
No. No.
So that was pretty gutsy. Great job. 2-1 this week on Do You Know? We might have to go back to Do You Remember? You seem to do much for Do You Remembers. That was great,
good.
though. That was
Told you
great,
I'd
my
win.
friend.
There
That
you
was
go,
very good.
Kenny. I noticed you're not on.
Yeah, challenge has been accepted on that one, my friend. Great
Toast.
job.
Toast.
So this has been Sports Unfolded NHL Ranking Show. We do our regularly scheduled programming every Friday night at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Rhode Island Broadcasting. Cover all of the top sports stories that are going on in the world today. Tune in, check us out. So much to talk about this week. We got, a new king in the scoring in the NBA history. We will be discussing that. A little game on Sunday called the Super Bowl. I think we'll discuss that. I don't know what that really is. NBA trade line this Thursday, so I'm sure there'll be some more moves. The Kyrie move to Dallas, we will be discussing as well. and then any NHL stories that are going on in the sports world today.
Is
So
it only going to be players I don't like get traded
it,
in the NBA?
it's starting to look that way. It's
So
starting to-
Draymond going somewhere?
Draymond will not be moving. There goes the Christmas card to Draymond as well.
Yeah.
Ron, I want to thank you for all your hockey insight.
I had to
Great,
get rid of one Christmas card at least. You know?
great job with these rankings each and every week. Look forward to Tuesday for the next release of the NHL Top 10 Sports Unfolded NHL
Still going to
rankings.
do the 50 for 50.
50 for 50. We will get that in. We've got a Super Bowl preview show this Saturday night as well. Just discussing the game. Going to have some fun with that as well. Talk a lot of different football topics. And obviously, we'll be talking about the Super Bowl on Sunday on next Friday's show as well. So much to cover in the sports world. Tune in 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time this Friday. Don't miss that show. Saturday night, about 7:30, Sports Unfolded, Super Bowl preview show as well with Kenny. We'll have all three of us on for that one as well. Looking forward to that. Ron, I will see you this Friday. Cannot wait. Bring the heat, my friend, as you normally do.
Of course.
And all we ever ask for every single time is peace on earth.